Whiskey Reviews, and on today's episode we're doing a blind, except this time it's be by myself. I thought I'd try something different. I'm doing two bottom shelf classics when it comes to the blended Scotch whiskey world. These are available everywhere. They're mass produced. First of all, we have Chivas Regal 12 years. This is a blended Scotch whiskey. These are both blended Scotch whiskeys. This one was created by two brothers, obviously the Chivas brothers, and yeah, it's around everywhere. It's one of those classic blended Scotch whiskeys. You know, not too many people think about it. It's just, you know, it's always there, available. And then we have Grand Old Parr, and this is also a 12-year-old blended Scotch whiskey. This one is named after Thomas Parr, who was supposedly aged 152 years when he died. That's the story. As far as whether it's true or not, you know, I don't think it is, but he probably lived into his 90s. But yeah, so according to the bottle, he lived from 1483 to 1635. And this one is owned by Diageo. Diageo, they own many big brands. They own Johnny Walker, Lagavulin, and many other, you know, giant whiskey, you know, whiskeys out there, single malt, blended whiskeys. I think they even own some bourbons as well. So for those of you that may not be familiar with what a blended Scotch whiskey is, blended Scotch whiskey is when they take, you know, it could be single malt and grain whiskeys from many different distilleries, and they blend them together to get a certain profile, certain taste. And as far as these two, like I said, they're both 12 years old. What does that mean when it comes to blended Scotch whiskey? For the 12-year-old, no drop of whiskey in any of these bottles is younger than 12 years old. So there could be older whiskeys in here, but the youngest whiskey in each of these is 12 years old. So basically that's what blended Scotch means. Alright, so we're doing a blind today. My daughter, she poured the whiskey, and the answers are in here in this little envelope she made. There's A and then there's B. So as far as me, I know which one I like better, but that's the beauty about doing blinds, that you never know actually what you like until you actually try it blind. And it's just fun to do, you know. You think you may like something, but you end up liking something else when you do it blind. So alright, so enough talking. Let me start with A, and I'll go to the nose. By the way, both of these I believe are 40% ABV. Yeah, so they're both 40% ABV. This one's really mellow on the nose. I'm getting light honey. This one's like really easy on the nose. Both of these are pretty much entry-level Scotch whiskeys. You know, for a beginner, these would be pretty easy to get into. But this one's very sweet. I'm getting honey. I'm getting a little bit of a floral note. And obviously there's not going to be a whole lot to pick apart with these, but you know. So yeah, I'm getting a honey, I'm getting a floral note. And so far, since I'm warming up, that's pretty much what I'm getting. But let me go to the palate. Cheers. So on the palate, I got a little bit of oakiness in there. I got a little bit of oak. I got a little bit of like a raisin type note in there, maybe like a plum. But so far that's what I get out of this one. Let me try it one more time. honey. There's a little bit of sweetness in there, but I think right now the predominant note in the palate is it's like a wood. I'm getting like some type of oak in there. It's not bitter, but it's not sweet. It's just like right in the middle. So that's the predominant note. There's a little bit of sweetness. Like I said, there's a little bit like of a raisin or a plum, but overall right now, and there's also some spiciness towards the back of the palate and then going down. But you know, overall there's not much here for me right now on A. But let's go to B now. So on the nose, immediately, this one's offering more right now. The flavors on the nose that are there, they're really, you know, sticking out right now. There's a deep honey in here, like I can really pick out the honey. That oak that I got on A is not coming through on B, so the oak came through more on A. There may be maybe a little bit of oak in there, but not as much as A. I'm getting like a fruitiness. I'm not sure what type of fruit, maybe like a little bit of like an apple type note in there. But the predominant note for me on this one is honey. And I'm not picking up anything else. The notes that are there though come through and are way deeper and stronger than what came through on A. So when it comes to the nose so far, I would go with B. But more importantly, let's go to the palate. Cheers. Okay, so on the palate, I got a little bit of oak. The honey didn't come through as much as it did on the nose. It's still there, but it didn't come through as much as it did on the nose. And then towards the middle, you know, it mellows out a little bit, and then when it goes towards the back of the palate, I pick up a little bit of smoke. And when I pick up smoke, you know, I know that they use some, I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe they use some Islay whiskeys in the old Parr. I'm not exactly sure, but I think they do. And that makes me think it's the old Parr. But let me try it again. Okay, so the second time I picked up the honey sweetness came through more. There is also a little bit of spice in there towards the middle of the tongue, sides of the tongue. And then that smoke is still coming through. It's not like a heavy smoke, you know, something you would get like in Lefroy or anything like that, but there is a smoke towards the back that's definitely coming through in there. I like the balance, and I like what B is offering right now over A. But let's try it one more time, and then I'll pick which one is my winner for this blind shoot-off. Alright, so we're going to A again. And I'm still picking up the same on the nose. This second time around, the honey sweetness came through more for me, and then towards the middle to the back of the palate, I picked up more spice. So this second time around is a little bit more interesting. The oak that I was tasting the first time, I didn't pick it up as much as I did the first time. So, you know, it was pretty interesting. Let me try it one more time. Yeah, so I'm picking up more of the same. It is definitely more interesting the second time around. Like I said, that honey sweetness is coming through in the front, and then towards the middle, going towards the back, I'm picking up the spiciness. It's not like super spicy, but it makes it more interesting, especially more interesting than the first time. There's still a little bit of oak in there, but like I said, it's not coming through as much as it did the first time around. So, alright, so now we're going to B. Yeah, right now, B is definitely doing it for me. Just the sweetness up front. I'm getting like maybe like a honey. I mean, definitely the honey I'm picking up, but I also get like a apple or pear type note in there towards the front. And then, like I said, towards the middle, you start to feel the spice, and then it flips into the smokiness towards the back. And those of you that maybe have watched a lot of my videos, I love like smoky whiskeys, peated whiskey. So as far as between these two, B is definitely bringing more to the table for me. It's just overall, it's better. It's more complex. Obviously, neither of these are gonna blow your socks off, but for my personal preference, if I had to pick one, I'm gonna pick B. It's just offering more for me and what I like. So now for the big reveal. That was interesting. I like how the second time around, A, flipped and like brought a little bit more to the table, but it still wasn't enough to like overcome B. Like B just it just offers more. So all right, so A was Chivas Regal, and that makes sense. So my winner, the one I chose, B, is Grand Old Parr. So this was fun. I kind of predicted, to myself what was gonna happen. I usually go for the Old Parr before I go for the Chivas. They're both very budget friendly. They're both in the $20 to $25 mark. They're solid, blended Scotch whiskey. A lot of people use them more, especially the Chivas. They'll use more for a mixer than drinking it neat. But it's just sometimes you want to sit down and not have to think about your whiskeys and just enjoy it, just sip on it, and it's not gonna bring a lot, but you also don't have to think about it constantly changing in your palate and being super complex. So these are both great choices, especially if you're starting out. So yeah, Grand Old Parr is just a solid blended Scotch whiskey. For the price, I believe this one goes for $25, so that's a good deal. So anyways, if you like my content, remember to hit that like button, remember to subscribe, don't forget about that little notification bell. You can also catch me on my Instagram at LegitWhiskeyReviews, and keep it legit and do it for the love of whiskey. Cheers.